So, structure of Malaysia. There is one person by the name of A.J. Stockwell. He says that the Malaysia Agreement 1963 and the Malaysia Constitution basically allocate power, apportion responsibility, acknowledge majority interest, safeguard minority rights, enshrine public service, reduce opportunities for corruption. If we follow that, we follow it properly. And it also disappoints many, provoke active opposition, and breached later by its very guardian. I'll give you an example later on. So because instead of trying to build a country, Malaya wants to control the Borneo states. And because of that, and all the resources within it. So Malaya may have changed the constitution 600 times in the last 52 years. Still, the IGC and the Malaysia Agreement continue to frustrate them. They cannot change these two documents. In the words of A.J. Stockwell, Malaysia Constitution is an elaborate set of contracts concluded after prolonged and elaborate multilateral negotiation. So, it's a very long multilateral negotiation between government. It's not as if they simply just give, take, that's it. No. We discuss about this, negotiate on this. And the basis for the Malaysia Constitution today was not based on whim, but after a thorough process of compromises and finally an agreement. So the Malaysia Constitution, therefore, was not a fulfillment of nationhood. We didn't build a ready country. No. It is a structure for nation building. So whoever thinks that all this is a ready-made country is wrong. This is supposed to be used to build a country. So, in what form, structure for Malaysia? We look at this. Federation of Malaya was made up of the Federated Malay States, Unfederated Malay States, and the Strait Settlement. This is how you look at it. Federated Malay States, they have at least Council of Rulers, okay, to manage it. I mean, to look after Perak, Selangor, Pahang, Negeri Sembilan. Unfederated Malay States, they lack institution. And their states cannot form in the eyes of the international law. Okay? That's how Kedah, Kelantan, Johor, and Terengganu at that point in time. Oops. Then you have the Strait Settlement. Now the Strait Settlement are basically, colony. All right? So, in terms of institutions, they have the administrative institution. And Labuan was also part of the Strait Settlement. Labuan, basically in Sabah. I mean, close to Sabah. Now, if we look at this structure, this is how a nation state look like. It's one big piece with all the sub-nations inside. Sub-nation. Federation of Malaya Agreement 1957 was built on a nation-state concept. This is the concept when they set up the Federation of Malaya. And this is how it came out. All right? Now, the key concept in the Federation of Malaya was actually centralization. Why? They create decentralization because all the states basically depending on the federal government for money. They don't have economic base, all right? So they depend on the federal government. And because of that, centralization becomes stronger. Now, almost all the power of the states rests in the center. This was created based on the following reasoning. Most states do not even have proper tax base to pay for its own civil service. It's the Sultan running the state. So that's how it was. development non-existent or minimal. It depends on whether he likes to build a school or not to build a school. It depends on the Sultan at that time. Agricultural sector was rudimentary and its commodity prices was on the decline. Malaya at that point in time depend on tin and rubber. Tin was on a decline because America was offloading its tin stock. And on top of that, synthetic rubber is hitting the world market. So natural rubber price is going down. So Malaya at that point in time actually don't have that much money. Almost every state in the Federation of Malaya would be looking at the federal government for funding. So it was in this situation that a stronger central government was needed. Therefore, centralization was critical in the formation of the Federation of Malaya. All right? Federation of Malaya. The situation changed in the formation of Malaysia. Whitehall, once Whitehall is in England, those people, administrators in England, okay? They wanted to decolonize countries east of Suez. That includes us, all right? But wanted its influence maintained. That's the reason why they have to accommodate Singapore requirement, all right? But the British officials in the Borneo state wanted Malaysia created, but without Malaya taking over the Borneo states. This is why I'm saying we have to be thankful to the British officer here. Why you have, I mean, like us in Sabah, we have the governor named Sir William Good. And you have your governor here, Alexander Waddell. All right? And both of them, okay? Both of them, because of the Second World War, understand humility. That's why they don't just simply want to give us away. These people, all right? So instead of allowing for absolute centralization, British officials in the Borneo state made sure the rights safeguard of the Borneo states are protected through the Inter-Governmental Committee report and the Malaysia Agreement. They make sure. So this becomes our legacy. Lord Cobbold says, it is a necessary condition from the onset Malaysia should be regarded by all concerned as an association of partners. We are partners. All right? We have common interest to create a new nation. Okay, Malaya is one. Malaysia is another one that we are trying to create. Retaining their own individualities. And A.J. Stockwell say because of the strength of the individualities, Malaysia was a federation of nations rather than a nation state. But this was what the British say when they relinquished the sovereignty of the Borneo states. This is the Malaysia Act 1963, Chapter 35. This is passed by the British Parliament. It says here, Federation of Nations, a Federation of North Borneo, Sarawak, and Singapore. All right? That one, the word federation consistent with what A.J. Stockwell is saying, Federation of Nations. That's what we are, Federation of Nations. When we take a look at this is the Federation of Nations. This is how Malaysia was supposed to be made by several nations. This is what Federation of Nations means. Malaysia Constitution, based on the Malaysia Agreement, was constructed to build on the Federation of Nations.